He doesn't wait for the future, he creates it. From the streets of South Africa to the innovation hubs of Dubai, Priven Reddy journey is nothing but extraordinary.
Most important jobs of my life I ever had was working as a waiter.
What was the defining moment in your childhood where you realized you wanted more in life? You've tried to build something, right?
So we involved already in the aerospace industry. We've got your own aerospace, busy developing supersonic passenger jets. Too many people only want to talk about the good things. They want to talk about all the successes.
Exactly.
Everybody doesn't talk about the failure. For every time I made one thing successful, 5 other things failed.
You have to be a little bit crazy.
You have to be a bit crazy. You got to be
Exactly.
crazy and you got to be resilient to get into politics in my country and lead the country forward by going, for presidency in the coming elections or being part of the ruling party. I've seen people, they were not the most flamboyant person. They were not the most persuasive.
Well, flamboyant, first of all, it doesn't make you successful.
It doesn't make
at
successful,
all.
but if you're a good talker and you're a good salesperson, you can be good in business. Life is going to knock you down so many times, and if you're not resilient, you are never going to wake up.
He doesn't wait for the future, he creates it. From the streets of South Africa to the innovation hubs of Dubai, Priven Reddy journey is nothing but extraordinary. From humble beginnings, his story is a masterclass in bold thinking and relentless execution. In this episode, we will uncover the mindset and momentum behind the founder of Engagement Beyond, Priven Reddy.
Engage
Welcome.
beyond.
Welcome to Unexpected Achievers. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Take us back to South Africa. What was life like growing up for you, and what early experiences shaped your hunger for success?
Have you been to South Africa before?
Never.
Absolutely amazing place. Absolutely. The people are its greatest asset. Forget all of the jewels, forget all of the precious metals, forget all of the resources. I think the people are its greatest assets.
Yeah.
So I was born in South Africa. My parents were born in South Africa. My grandparents were in South Africa. My great-grandparents were there as well. I grew up in a place in South Africa called Chatsworth. It's predominantly an Indian area in Durban. Some would say it's an Indian township in Durban. And it's strange because I got to experience different types of lifestyle growing up. When my dad was alive, bless his soul, he passed away in 1993 in a car accident. But when he was alive, our life was perfectly fine. I had a fairly stable household and, there's lots of happiness and joy at home with him.
Yes.
But when he passed on, and I was about 11 years old at that point, things take a very different turn because, here's my mom. She's like, 36 years old, 37. She's got 5 kids that she now has to take care of.
Yeah.
And she's got all the responsibility on her. And then, I'm entering a period of adolescence and there's no father figure around. So it wasn't very, very easy.
Yes.
I'm sure people out there had it 1,000 times worse than me, but I think psychologically for me, around that point in time, you're looking for some sort of a source of strength and father figure. You don't have that around. And then you start to gravitate to whoever is closest to you, whoever that could be good or bad.
Yes.
So growing up in the area where I was from, you don't really have role models to look up to.
Yes.
There's nobody that you're going to say, I really want to be like that guy.
I was going to ask you this question, but yeah.
So, so the thing is that there was no internet around that time. All we had was going to the library and reading about people globally and what you see on TV and the newspapers and magazines. But in the community where I grew up in, there was no one that you can say, I really want to be that, or had a mentor or somebody out there. So we had to find our own way growing up. So it wasn't an ideal time for me. But as I said, I'm sure many people had it more difficult than me.
Yes.
But the journey from that point on was just a very turbulent period, for about a decade of my life.
But what was the turning point in your life?
There were many different turning points in my life. I think there were so many situations in life for me that sort of molded me and sort of catapulted me out of where I was to the next level.
Yes.
But each one was a stepping stone to get to where I needed to go. So I can't really define it and say there was one singular point of being a catalyst for it, but there were many things. I think, going to high school in a completely different area from where I grew up and not having any friends, being that point was a turning point to realize that I've got nobody but me at that point.
But what was the defining moment in your childhood where you realized you wanted more in life?
So here's the thing. When I grew up, when my dad was alive, he always instilled entrepreneurship in us. From the time I was like about 6 years old, it made us like grow vegetables in our garden, take it, sell it to the neighbors in my grandmother's neighborhood. So it's always been in there, sold in the vegetable markets, like how you get the Dubai market, similar to that. I've done many things. I had those skills along the way. Now, to answer your question, what is the defining moment that really was a catalyst for me? If I had to put it down to one singular moment in my life, instead of all the moments culminated and put together, which is the one thing that really said, listen, this is enough. I want to become better. And I think it was when I was working as a waiter at a Italian restaurant in a shopping mall called the Gateway, the theater of, back then it's called Gateway, the Theater of Dreams shopping mall. Now it's just the Gateway shopping mall in Durban. When I worked there as a waiter, I had a bit of a nasty incident with a guest, and it was very rude and, kind of insulted me with telling me to take the leftover food home and give it to my mom.
Oh, wow.
And it was like half-eaten food. So I think at that point in time, it made me realize that if I'm not going to try and change my life, this is going to be my life.
Okay. So you've been a waiter before, but what was the thing that started actually things for you?
The one singular time when I could say where things started off for me was actually thinking back when I was working as a waiter at a restaurant on the beach.
Yes.
It's called Joe Cool's in Durban. I don't know if it still exists or not. I was walking home one day and I noticed there was a bar near me, and I went to play pool or billiards, whatever people call it in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And I noticed there was no signage outside, and I spoke to the owner. I'm like, why don't you have signs outside? And he was like, yeah, but I don't have time to do it. And I'm like, hey, I can get this done for you. But I didn't even know where to get this done. I was like, I know I can get it done.
Okay.
So I went, I found a place. I remember that whenever I walked to work, there was a signage shop. So I went there and said, hey, listen, I want to put this sign on. How much would you charge me? They gave me a price. I went back to the guy. I'm like, this is the price. I'll do it for you. He said, okay, do it. And then he paid me the money for it. I didn't know he trusted me, but he paid me the money. And I got that. That is the first moment I can say this really was the start for me to realize, hey, I'm making X amount working as a waiter for the whole week, but I made this in like a couple of hours working and putting this up. So that was, I would say, from an entrepreneurship point of view, I've done stuff from the time I'm very young. But that day was the day I realized, like, I actually want to do something like this and then start my own business. And
when was that?
This was must have been around about 2001.
Okay.
Yeah, 2001.
What was the first really project that you started working on and really probably started things for you?
There were many projects, all small projects.
Yes.
I mean, back then, in dirhams, I remember, after paying some staff working for me, if I had 100 dirhams, actually it was about 115 dirhams, whatever it was. That was like a lot of money back then, because it's difficult starting your business up. You've got no capital behind you. You're trying to do things on your own. You got people you got to provide for. But the one project where I could say that really turned my life around from the time I started off my business was when I started doing work for a client in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
A very, very, very high profile person from the member of the royal family. And that took my income from where I was to like 1,000x, I think. And I think that was where I realized, okay, life's good on the other side of the fence when you make a lot of money.
But going back, was there a moment you almost gave up?
Yeah.
And what kept you going?
Yeah. When I started my company,
yes,
I was working on my own, working from home. And then I met a friend. Well, we became friends. And we said, let's start a business. Let's join my skills and your skills together. Because I was really good in graphic design. He was really good in web development. Let's launch a company.
Okay.
And we went to launch a company called Khagiso, Khagiso. And we started this company and it was going really well. But after like about, I don't know, maybe 2 months or 3 months. So we worked at his garage first at home. And then we moved into a proper office premises. And after about, I think it must have been like 2 months or so, he's like, he had his reasons why he wanted to leave and he wanted to walk out of the partnership. And I was like, please stay, all the computers belong to him. When we left, the staff left with him and I was left with nothing. I had one computer which my brother lent me, and I basically had no team any longer. I had no partner, had no equipment. And I'm like, what do I do right now? The best thing is just to leave this out, go back to work. It's not going to work out for me. I had a lot of, people in family and friends who told me before this, maybe business is not for you. Why don't you just get a proper job? And my grandmother always said to me, what is a stupid thing you want to do business? Why don't you get a proper job? Look at your cousins. Well,
Yes.
I guess it's a good thing I didn't listen
But
to it.
what was the biggest risk you've taken in business so far?
The biggest risk that I took in business was launching a crypto exchange in South Africa in 2016, 2017. And had this amazing idea. We built the most amazing technology. We launched about 6 months after Binance. We had our licenses in Estonia, and I was trying to push for licensing in South Africa, and there's unregulated crypto in South Africa back then. And it was a big risk I took because that actually ended up causing a lot of issues for me down the line.
Yeah. So coming to Dubai, can you tell us a little bit about the journey? How did you take the decision to come and live in Dubai?
Well, I've been coming to Dubai from about 2014. My clients always invited me over here to meet and to discuss business. So I've been coming here from that period of time. But around about 2018, 2019, I made the decision that I want to move here full time. And just after COVID, I was getting ready to move full time, and then COVID hit.
Yes.
And this after COVID, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to get stuck in South Africa again. I'm coming to Dubai.
Okay.
So I came here for a few reasons. I felt it's easier for me to commute and meet clients globally. But I think two of the biggest reasons I came here was a peace of mind. There's no point making all the money in the world, and every time you drive home or you do something in South Africa, you don't know, are you going to get hijacked? Are you going to get robbed? Whatever it is. Thankfully, a lot of people in the country know me, so I've never had any of these incidents. But I didn't want to, put all that I've worked for over the years at risk as well. That is one of the reasons. The second reason was, so first is peace of mind being in Dubai and sense of safety. Secondly, it's obvious thing. I mean, not many people want to say it, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It was the 0% income tax that I came for.
Yeah.
Taxes are pretty high in South Africa. And it's also the ecosystem that the government is building. There's such great governance here that I knew that, I'm either going to ride that wave and be a part of what they're doing or get splashed out.
Did it change your mindset, your way of thinking in terms of opportunities?
100%. When I look back now, and sometimes I look back and I see friends in South Africa or see videos online, and I realize that it has grown me and matured me so much by being exposed to different ecosystems and different places and different nationalities globally, that, and I don't mean this in a condescending way. I think if I didn't come here, my mindset would be like 30 years behind. Because when I look at people who I grew up with, and the great people, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that you live what you learn, and you learn what you live around your society and around your environment.
Yes.
And being in Dubai, it's evolved me so much that I've realized that my peace of mind takes precedence over everything else.
That's true.
But at the same time, it's elevated my thinking to a level that I would have never have fully achieved if I was somewhere else.
Wow. So well said, actually. What about failure? I'm sure you've had many moments that you felt.
Of course, yes. People always talk about.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned?
Let me tell you all to everyone who's listening out there. Too many people only want to talk about the good things. They want to talk about all the successes.
Exactly.
Everybody doesn't talk about the failure. For every time I made one thing successful, 5 other things failed. Or sometimes maybe 10 other things failed.
Okay.
It's just that, I don't always fully focus on that psychologically. But I've had many projects that I tried to launch and it never worked out the way I wanted it to work out. The crypto exchange was one prime example of that. Not because the technology wasn't good, because I failed to have the right team behind me that shared the same vision as me.
Yeah.
So I think that there was one of the biggest failures, because I failed not in building the tech, but I failed in making sure that the people were the right people that were going to be a part of that vision. But like that day, we had other projects in the past that we launched. I launched a project, which a lot of people don't know, but you can actually check this out online. I had a company called Engage Halo VR.
Okay.
We were the first company in the world to build an all-in-one virtual reality headset. We built it a couple of years before Oculus Go came out. But we launched it too early, and we didn't have an ecosystem for it. So I lost millions of dollars on that project initially, but we ended up selling the tech afterwards. So I managed to recover it. But for a long period of time, we're losing money on the project.
Yeah.
So not everything that I've done, people look at me and be like, this guy's so successful. They don't know that we've lost a lot of money building stuff with all our knowledge, still fails at times.
So what are the habits and philosophies behind the things that are non-negotiable for your success?
People talk about work-life balance. There's work-life balance. But for me, it's like, I want to have work-life harmony.
Yeah.
I want things to flow in a harmonious way for me. And I think for every person, they've got to do what makes them happy. For me, the non-negotiables are, I prioritize what's going to matter to me in 5 years and 10 years over what's going to matter to me on Saturday night or Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, I see so many people prioritizing going out in clubs and popping bottles of champagne, but I don't see them flying private or flying first class because our priorities are different. I'm prioritizing building a legacy of things that I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't live for the weekends. So for me, the non-negotiable for me is that always think long term. And I'm not saying anyone else to do this because it's the most crazy thing, so please don't do this.
Yeah.
I work on average about 19 to 20 hours per day, 7 days a week. It's not very good, but I do it because I feel I have a limited time on earth to do what I want to do. And for me, what it'll take somebody, 10 years to do, I can do in like 3 years by me working these long hours. So I just focus on building everything that I want to do in this lifetime because, nothing is guaranteed that we're ever going to be it next year or 5 years from now.
Because you're talking about building, I wanted to ask you, is there a bigger mission or what's the biggest mission behind building those companies?
I do have a bigger plan. The reason why we've got so many companies is because there's something that I do want to do in the future. And it's going to require a lot of capital resources to get this going. So there is a bigger plan, and it's a bigger plan to serve many people in my country. And this is why I do what I do, and I don't do things for fame or fortune. I do it to build something bigger because I'm working towards a plan in the next 5 to 8 years that I want to do something in South Africa that hopefully will change the landscape of the country again.
Exactly. That's what I was going to tell you. What legacy means to you?
One day when the dust settles and I'm about 80 years old, if I'm around when I'm 90, I want to live till I'm 150 and be healthy. But one day when the dust settles, I want to be able to sit back and look back at my life if I'm talking to my friends or grandkids or whoever it may be, and say,
whoever is around.
Whoever's around, yeah. And say, I managed to make a small dent in the universe.
Yeah.
And I've changed the status quo, and I came from where I came from. I was the last person in my family community that was meant to be successful, but I've added value to my country first.
Yes.
Because I'm very patriotic to my country. I love Dubai and I love going to Asia, but I'm patriotic to I'm loyal to the soil, to my country. So I want to look back someday and say I've done something that changed the lives of millions of people in my country.
Is there a bold goal you have in mind that you've never shared publicly? Really bold.
It is bold. I don't know if people are going to think it's crazy.
Something totally crazy, exactly.
I've never really spoken about this publicly. And I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this one day.
Okay.
I hope not. But my goal is to one day lead my country away from all the corruption, away from all of the continuous spiral into a dark abyss, into prosperity.
Oh, that's an amazing goal.
That is my goal.
Yeah, if everything goes right, how do you see yourself maybe in 20, 30 years when you get to 80, maybe a president of your own country?
I don't want to be a president in 20 years from now. Why must I be an old president?
Or how are you going to take away the corruption?
I'd rather be a young leader in the country. Let me be honest with you. South Africa needs good leadership and needs the right people that are steering the country forward. People that place their citizens before their pockets. And unfortunately, that kind of leadership doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So hopefully in time to come, when I've finished all what I'm doing and when I'm ready, and if the people are ready for that change, I would hope to be available to do my part to make, the country better in one way or the other.
So going back to entrepreneurship, if you have an advice to give to someone who's starting from maybe zero, very limited resources, what would it be?
The first thing you got to do is make sure you have your legal documentation in place, because it'll always come back to bite you in the end when your company grows. Before you get your fancy watches and clothing and Louis Vuitton shoes, get your legal contracts in place first. Because if you don't have that, it's going to be a very quick death when things happen. Well, death of the company I'm talking about, when things go wrong. So,
but before that, like let's say someone has really almost nothing, how to get the funds to get started?
Listen, the great thing about where we live right now, the time where we live right now, is that it's so easy to get knowledge. You can go into places like Udemy, udemy.com.
Yes.
Amazing courses online. Research, look at ecosystems.
I want to talk about those online courses. I mean, what do you think of those people who offer courses online that promise instant wealth, I mean, do you think it's, because you just mentioned those online courses, what do you think?
So let's break it down. When we're talking about Udemy, it's a proper place that doesn't, flaunt copious amounts of wealth, luxury, cars, households to make you to buy a thing. Udemy is a place where you go, you get proper knowledge from real people that have got the skill set. So they're selling these courses. It's different from somebody out there that's going and saying, hey, you can be the next one to take your family out of this thing. You're going to change your family's life.
You're going to make your first million.
And you're going to make your they're selling you this dream. Because let me tell you something. I'm in software development. I don't have the luxury of time to go and spend my time shooting content, editing content, doing all of these things, because I'm making money in my business.
Exactly.
I don't need to sell courses. When I look at people out there that are going and selling all of these courses, listen, there's some good people out there that do legitimate, honest stuff. But the sad thing is that it's far and few. For every two,
a lot of people buy those things.
They buy into the dream. They buy into a dream of saying, hey, this guy's got this Lamborghini and this guy's got that and he's in the yachts and he's got the stuff. That is what they fool them with this. I mean, do you see Elon Musk selling courses? No. Jeff Bezos selling courses? No. These are the guys that really got these things. But then there's somebody here from some country that comes and says, hey, check me out. I'm flying on this first class or private jet and you're going to buy my courses. Dude, if you are so good at what you're doing, you can make money without selling those courses. And if you're going to give back to society, make the courses free.
Exactly.
But it's simple as that. You got to sell the course. If I'm an expert trader, this is I'm in trading, crypto, whatever the trading is, right? I'm an expert trader or I'm an expert Forex trader. Let's use Forex trader as an example. If I'm really, really good at it, I don't need to sell a course. I can make all of the money doing that. You don't find the guys on Wall Street handling billions of dollars selling courses.
And making content.
So the thing is that they get people, they sell this visual lifestyle and they parade this feeling of euphoria and look how amazing this is over here. And people buy into the dream. And it's sad because they are basically taking advantage of the most vulnerable people that are looking for a way out. If I was you guys, spend time, lock in online, go check out Udemy, go into YouTube. You don't need to go and follow people for that lifestyle. That lifestyle can be yours. They are using you as pawns to fund that lifestyle.
Exactly. And do you think anyone can become actually an entrepreneur?
Anybody can become an entrepreneur. I can become an entrepreneur.
I personally don't think anybody can become an entrepreneur.
It may not be meant for anybody.
I think it's something you're born with or you have to, but I don't think anyone has this, because it has something. You have to have something in your character that makes you an entrepreneur.
So here's it. Anybody can become an entrepreneur. But does it mean everyone's going to become successful as an entrepreneur? No.
Yes.
Anybody can start up a business. I can give somebody
you just
up
waste
the street.
money.
Exactly.
So
there are people that can become great entrepreneurs. And there are people that you can give them all the money in the world and they'll never make it. So yes, anybody can become an entrepreneur. Whether you're going to become successful or not is going to depend. Is it meant for you?
Exactly. So what mindset separate dreamers from achievers?
Yeah, is what it is. I can be like, I want to start up this sport brand. I want to do it. I'm going to get this thing done. But every time it comes down to getting it done, I'm always too busy with something else. So for me, it's that very critical point between having the idea in your mind and executing it. Execution is the most important thing. You can have 1,000 great ideas. If you can't execute it, it means nothing.
Exactly. And what daily habits do you think is the foundation of long-lasting success?
Wake up early, spend a bit of time reading what's going on in the world. For me, that's what works. I want to know what's happening. People always ask me, how is it you're always building stuff even before the tech becomes trending? How do you know what's going to happen? I don't have a magic mirror or some sort of crystal ball. I've just able to figure out what's about to happen by me reading a lot. I can connect the dots. If this is happening and that's happening, this is about should happen next, and then I build the tech for it. So I'm able to do that there. For the entrepreneurs, I would say network is so important. Your network becomes your net worth. Don't waste your time going for these kind of events. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a nice thing to get people to get together and feel good, like this tech, whichever days, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, whatever event you're going to. But then you're going to sit with people, everyone's looking for funding. That's not the type of room you want to be in, You don't go into a hospital ward looking for solutions. You need to go to, the medical college to find it, or the research labs. In that kind of a way, if you want to grow your business, you need to network in the right places.
Yes.
Network with the right people. Be honest in your approach. Be genuine in what you want. Authenticity is so key. You got to be authentic in what you want. But you got to become a domain expert in what you do. You can't want to build something because everybody else is doing something. You got to have the knowledge and try your best to become a domain expert in that. Because you got to be understanding your markets, research, really what you want to do, and fully understand, is it something that you want to do? Because then one non-negotiable thing is knowledge. Because if you don't have the knowledge on how you're going to execute this project, how are you going to make it a success?
Exactly. But some people they have this something in their character that actually makes them very successful entrepreneurs. I've seen entrepreneurs that have never been to school, actually, but they have this, I don't know how they call it, but they have it. It's something you're born with. And some people are not born entrepreneurs.
That's
like
true.
myself, I know, I don't like it, actually. So yeah, I don't think everybody can be an entrepreneur.
Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. You're right. I think everybody can try to be an entrepreneur, everyone to be successful. And you are right. There's many people that never studied. I never initially started all of the software stuff, and we're building the most advanced AI right now.
I'll give you an example. For example, an artist. Usually they marry someone to manage their finances and manage their work and etc. Because they can't do both. They're good at creating, but not at managing a company. Let's put it this way.
That's very true. The thing is, you are right. There are some people, as I said, that is born with it. Like I've got friends, they are the most crazy people, but they're really good at business. They're really good at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. As I said, it's difficult for me to comment on other people. You either got the secret sauce or you don't. But I do think with that said, you can hone in and you can learn the skills to make you a great entrepreneur.
Okay.
I firmly believe it, because I've seen people who they were not the most flamboyant person. They were not the most persuasive.
Well, flamboyant. Let's put it. First of all, it doesn't make you successful.
It doesn't make you successful, but if you're a good talker and you're a good salesperson, you can be good in business.
That's true.
You can be very good in business.
Exactly.
I always tell people one of the best and most important jobs of my life I ever had was working as a waiter. Because it taught me people skills and sales skills. And those two things for me are very important in being a startup entrepreneur. You got to be able to talk to people. You got to be able to sell your product.
Going back to when you were young, what would you say to your younger self back then, if you have to go back in time?
I would actually tell myself to not stay in South Africa working for so long, to move abroad to the US or to Europe and grow my business there. I think I did myself.
How is South Africa?
No, South Africa is great, but the ecosystem for what I was doing was not ready. Now it's a bit more mature. But I was like, we're talking about 15, 18 years ago. It wasn't a tech hub the way it is right now. So looking back, I would definitely tell myself, Priven, go to the US, risk it. Give yourself 5 years of a chance and see what you can build in the US. And I think life would have been different. But I'm happy with the way things have turned out. In another lifetime, yes, I would have liked to have gone there when I was much younger and try and build the ecosystem up there. But these are the cards I was dealt.
But who influenced you, actually, to become who you are today? I'm sure we all have someone. We all have probably a celebrity or an entrepreneur or someone in our family or in our friends. Or
I wouldn't say anybody influenced me to be where I am today. I had a lot of support from my uncle, my mom's brother, and my sister's husband, and my younger brother, and people that supported my business. But who really inspired me from the time I'm young? There were people out there, like an entrepreneur from South Africa that moved abroad. His name is Vinny Lingam. Really smart guy, really good guy, very honest tech entrepreneur. And I always looked up to him for all the cool stuff that he did. I'm like, one day I want to be like that when I was younger.
That's nice.
So as I would say, it was him. Yes, there was elements of Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously proud that he's South African, doing the cool stuff that he's done. So I would strongly say those are the two people, and not because Elon Musk was now he's one of the richest people in the world, not the wealthiest, but back then, a decade and a half ago, he wasn't as popular as what he is right now.
Of course.
But I mean, he was still successful doing stuff like that.
He came to Dubai. Someone told me he came to Dubai and he had a stand in the World Trade Center. And
No way.
Yes, Tesla stand. Back then, maybe 10, 12 years
No
only.
way.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. And by the way, even the watch, the Richard Mille, now everybody wants to have this. It just started 12 years ago as well.
Yeah.
All these people, they started like everybody else, trying to find funds and investments, etc. So,
but he's a great entrepreneur of showing resilience, work ethic, not having any balance in his work life. But
you have to be a little bit crazy.
You have to be a bit crazy. You got to be crazy and you got to be resilient. I think if there's one thing I can tell people out there, life is going to knock you down so many times. And if you're not resilient, you are never going to wake up. And I think one of my greatest assets I have, part of having a fairly decent IQ, is I'm resilient. I can get knocked down 50,000 times and I will wake up every single time.
And what's your future goal? Biggest dream? You wanna build a aeroplane? I don't know, something.
No. Those are things that are all achievable. The things that I don't have any control over right now. My end. I wouldn't say my end goal, but my goal.
Because you're into that.
So
right? You've tried to build something, right?
So we're involved already in the aerospace industry. We've got your own aerospace. We're busy developing supersonic passenger jets. But my own personal goal beyond the work stuff, my really, really big goal and dream, and I wouldn't say it's a dream because it's more something that I feel that I need to do more than I really want to do right now. There's many other things that I would like to do, but I feel sometimes I've got to put myself last and put other people first. Is the thing that has been really troubling me because I've had thousands of people reach out to me and ask me for this. From my country, from abroad, different people from different governments have reached out to me and asked me to get into politics in my country and lead the country forward by going, for presidency in the coming elections or being part of the ruling party.
I just predicted it, right?
And I always said no. For the past, from 2017, they've been asking me, and I kept saying no. I don't want to. It wasn't something that I was passionate about in terms of, being a head of a state. But I spoke to a very good friend of mine. He's an African-American citizen from the US. And he said something to me so important. He says, Priven, you can make all the money in the world. But one day when you go to sleep and you see a country falling apart when you're much older, how would you feel to know that you could have helped change that? But you chose a comfortable life instead of that. So I think that has been an important thing for me to really
maybe it's
think
not
about.
Time yet.
Well, I don't think it's time for me right now. But I do think it will be something most likely I will. I mean, it's crazy the amount of people that have approached me from even Gulf nations reaching out and saying, listen, I would like to support you if you want to get into this. And I always said, no, not right now. But, I'm not saying I will do that, but it's something that I may consider down the line.
That's amazing. So in the end, we want to ask you about 3 words, if you can define or probably have a recipe of success in 3 words. What would it be?
Resilience, persistence, and believe in God.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Priven Reddy.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.